Hello, everybody. We are in Las Vegas once again, or we've been here for a couple of days now covering Utah State women's basketball, and later in the week we'll be here for the men's tournament as well. Right now, we're on the Strip. We've got all the cool stuff behind us, the MGM Grand over there, and actual legitimate Paris behind us, or at least that's what I'm told. This one gentleman on the street was very kind and told me it was actually Paris behind us, right, Dalton?
Yes.
Okay.
That is confirmed.
So last night we actually had some excitement. We got to watch Utah State and Colorado State face off in the opening round of the Mountain West women's basketball tournament. And Dawn, how did that go for us?
Well, it was an interesting game because Utah State started out. They built themselves up a lead. They were leading 30-22 at halftime, and then the second half was just not the same for them. They ended up losing their lead by the end of the third quarter, and then they went on an 11-0 run to start the fourth quarter. And the game was kind of just back and forth like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. In that fourth quarter, it was kind of, once Utah State got that lead back, because like you said, they lost it at the end of the third. Right at the end of that third quarter, they went down 38-37. Then you said the 11-0 run, and they kind of, it was close. Utah State held the lead pretty much the entire fourth quarter. But Colorado State was there the entire time. Yeah. And after holding a 6-point lead with about a minute and a half left, Colorado State cut it to one twice in the final 30 seconds. So it was really close. And in the end, that last possession, Colorado State had a chance to tie it with a three-point shot, but Utah State's defense really held up and didn't allow them to even get off a shot because they couldn't find the player they were looking for.
No. Well, and also Utah State was able to capitalize, making their final 6 free throws at a one-point game. You know, was able to close it out that way. So, yeah, a really interesting game. Probably not what we expected from our preview yesterday, but yeah, it ended up being a good one for Utah State. They move on. They're going to play Wyoming tonight. So, I mean, that'll be interesting to catch that tonight.
Yeah, so you mentioned Wyoming. Let's talk a little bit. I mean, you've looked into Wyoming a little bit for preview. What was Wyoming's season like as far as their basketball team?
Well, they had a good year this year. They finished 20-7. They finished 3rd in the Mountain West. And they're one of the elite shooting teams in the nation. Contrary to Colorado State last night, they ranked 3rd in the nation in three-point shooting. They have a senior forward, Marta Gomez, who she's their leading scorer. She's having 15.6 per game. She's shooting 48% from 3 and shooting a high volume, too, which is kind of incredible. And, yeah, they have some senior depth on their team. They've started the same 5 starters all season, so they look like they're a really well-rounded group.
Yeah, they're really well-rounded there. I think second in the Mountain West. They're in the top 3, I believe second in point differential. They have one of the best defenses. I think Wyoming's first. I think Utah State is second. So 2 really good defenses coming into this game. But like you said, Wyoming, really good shooting team. They're a really good scoring team. And there's a fire truck.
Everybody panic.
Everybody panic. Lots going on here in Vegas.
Yeah. What else do you expect, honestly?
Yeah. Well, and with Wyoming, I mean, they might need that fire truck again if things get really hot from 3, and that could be really a danger for Utah State because with Colorado State, you know, like I said, they're not a really good shooting team, and so Utah State was able to weather their own poor shooting, which really kept the Rams in the game. But if they don't play the same kind of defense they were able to play against the Rams, things could get really out of hand really quickly because Wyoming is really able to shoot it.
They're really good shooting, like you're saying, and also Utah State was able to capitalize last night, even though they only shot 36%. They out-rebounded them 36-22, so they did their job on the boards, but when you have a team that shoots as well as Wyoming, you're not going to be getting as many of those opportunities. But one thing I will say is that both the matchups earlier in the season were low-scoring affairs. The first one, Utah State was able to pull out at home 50-42, and then the one on the road was a 53-35 game, I believe. But both very low-scoring matchups, like you say, both very good defenses. So it'll be interesting to see if one of these teams ends up kind of going on another run like we saw last night in the Colorado State game, or if it's just going to be a grinded-out kind of a game tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting a grinded-out game, but first off, what do you think the keys to the game are for Utah State here? Like, what do they really need to do to win the game?
Well, we've already touched on it a little bit, but I think their shooting needs to definitely improve. Shooting 36% is not going to get it done in the next round. Also, I'd like to see some other girls step up, like Haley Bassett. She played well in their first 2 meetings between Wyoming. Only had 2 points last night. So if they can get a little bit more contribution, even though they had some decent contribution last night, I think that's going to help them out a lot in this game.
Yeah, that is a big thing because when you look at Utah State, you see a lot of Shannon Duffsey. She was first team all-conference. That was announced on Sunday. And, you know, she had 11 points and 15 rebounds, a pretty good game against Colorado State.
Yeah.
And she's kind of been the lifeblood of this team. When she plays well, the team plays well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like you said at the end of your last point there, is that other players need to step up. When you look at the first half where Utah State was able to build a lead, you saw Rachel Brewster and Olivia West. They both scored 9 points in the half, and Coach afterwards said that was huge, that they really needed that first half from those two players. And I guess telling is that those two players combined for 4 points in the second half.
Yeah.
And that's where they struggled the most, was in that second half when they weren't quite as getting those contributions from other players. So,
yeah, and like you're saying, well, even though Rachel Brewster and Olivia has had kind of a down half, another player that stepped up big was Steph Gorman. She ended up having 9 points in that second half. She actually shot the ball fairly well, one of the few Aggies that did. So yeah, just overall contributions. Maybe Eliza West, like she broke the assist record last night. She had 3 assists on the night, but broke the overall career record for Utah State. Having another game where she can get the offensive ball would be really a plus for Utah State tonight.
Yeah, and yet another player, Marlene. I can't pronounce her last name. Enya Mabuso.
She's talented. She's a great player.
Yeah, talented. I can't say her name. I'm so sorry, Marlene. But Coach, after the game, really everyone really raved about her performance. When you look at her stat line, didn't jump off the page. I think she had 8 points, 3 rebounds, and assist. But it was her energy, the spark off the bench, and that she played much better in the game against Colorado State than she really has all year, and kind of showed some of the potential that Jerry Finkbinder's been talking about all year, and he's really excited about the potential Marlene has. But so in general, I think we brought up about 5 or 6 players that had really good games. It wasn't so much one player against Colorado State, and I think against Wyoming you're going to need more of that. Maybe not 5 or 6, but at least 2 or 3 more than maybe just one player like a Haley Bassett or a Shannon Duffsey.
Mm-hmm. So what are we thinking about this Wyoming team? Where do you see this Wyoming team, other than their shooting, really excelling coming in tonight's game?
Well, it does come down to defense, because when you look, they held Utah State to 35 points. They're one of the top defense, I think the top defense in the conference, which can be a problem for Utah State because they've struggled scoring all year. And in that game they lost to Wyoming, they couldn't shoot worth the lick, at least late in the game, when it really mattered. So that's the big danger. I mean, obviously they can get away from you on offense with their shooting, but defensively, if you can't score against them, you can't beat them. And that's just kind of always the way any sport has been, pretty much.
Well, and especially going against an opponent that shoots as well as they do, it's almost kind of like going against the Warriors. If they're on, you're going to have to be on as well. Yeah. And that's what Utah State's going to have to do tonight.
Yeah, and again, that's why so many different players are going to have to step up. On both ends of the floor. It's going to be stopping their shooting as well as putting in baskets of your own, which sounds stupidly simple.
Very simple.
It's the basic premise of basketball is stop them from scoring and make sure you score yourself. But when you get into this point of the season in the tournament, the simple things matter the most, playing good defense and then playing good offense as well.
Well, I think we saw that last night with Colorado State playing the game so close. And, we didn't see that in the first 2 matchups. But like you say, I think come tournament time, teams are really ramped up. They want to obviously progress in the tournament. Wyoming is a great team. They're going to be the favorites tonight. So, yeah, both teams are going to really have to bring their A game.
All right, so let's kind of wrap this up. Let's go with predictions. What do you think is going to happen in this game? Let's get this out of the way. Do you think Utah State's going to win? What do you think the score is going to look like?
That's a tough one to call. But I think with the way Utah State shot the ball last night, if they can't rebound from that, it's going to be a tough night for them. I like the way Wyoming shoots the ball. I'm going to have to favor Wyoming this one. I'm sorry, Utah State fans, but I think it will be really close. I think it's going to be another low-scoring game. I'm going to say Wyoming 55, Utah State 50.
So I'm going to go with Utah State. I'm feeling optimistic. I could be wrong.
You might be a good decision.
Yeah. Well, Utah State, they're on a 5-game winning streak now. They finished the season on a 4-game win streak, throwing the Colorado State game. That's 5 in a row, 6 out of their last 7. I'm going to say this is going to be a really low-scoring game. I'm saying it might be first to 50. I'm going to say both teams finish in the 40s. Yeah. So I'll say like maybe Utah State 48, Wyoming 46, something really close. Really grind it out, even more so than I think your prediction. I'll kind of one-up you in that regard, or one down. I don't know, whatever it's called. Just not very much scoring, 2 real defensive teams, and it's kind of like the first 1 to 50 was like it was in the 2 regular season games. Both teams that reached 50 won the game.
Yep.
But I don't know if either team's going to reach it in this game, but I think it'll be really exciting. All right. Well, that'll do it. You can tune into the game on Aggie Radio, 92.3 KBLU LP. Jaden Johnson will be on the call, and so you can listen to it there. And keep it tuned. We're going to be here all week covering the Utah State women and the Utah State men later in the week. And thank you so much for listening. I'm Jason Walker.
I'm Dalton Renshaw.
Yep. All right.